And Rigathi now will see as if he has gotten an olive branch. Is it an oily branch?
Not olive branch.
Not olive branch, an oily branch. That if you are not careful, it will slip through your hands again and you'll fall into the deep sea. You know, the genesis of that would have assisted us now to be able to draw who is wrong. It was Uhuru, Ruto, altercations. Now it is Ruto, Rigathi, altercations. The common denominator is Ruto. So it cannot be that Uhuru was wrong and Rigathi is wrong. He has betrayed Rigathi. Whether Rigathi wants it or to believe it or not, we are actually at the watershed of the politics of Rift Valley and the mountain.
The writing is on the wall.
The writing is clearly on the wall. Whoever does not see is either blind
or living in denial, maybe.
You're living in denial.
And you're just in time for Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your go-to point on matters, politics and governance analysis here in Kenya and across the region. It is such an honor to have you with us. We don't take your company for granted. My name is Richard Mwenja. Today we have a cocktail of issues to delve into in the world of politics and governance. But first things first, allow me introduce our analyst for the day. He is none other than this renowned think tank and public scholar, the first of his name, former cabinet minister, Kipruto Arab Kirwa. And I have to start with this. I had thought that maybe you accompanying the president in his historic US state visit. You are still here. I thought you were his friend.
Yeah, I'm his friend, but you see, that is that's state function. I'm not part of the state apparatus or operatives. So the president made his choice. He's still my friend. He made his choice on the delegation that he had to take. And I thank God he arrived safely. I could see for the first time he was holding Rejo's hand, which is has elicited a lot of excitement in the social media. People saying this is the first Kalenjin to be seen holding the wife by hand.
In public spaces.
In public space, which is okay. I think he's a younger person compared to some of us. At the same time, there is no crime in somebody holding his dear wife. So I'm happy for him. And I just hope the trip will be fruitful. Although I know there may not have been a lot of things to sign, but as is usually the case, when it comes to international relations, you have to renew some of the documents that possibly you have signed before, the various protocols, and things change. Perhaps what was relevant in 1980 is totally needs to be fine-tuned to take care of the times. And of course, you know, this was anniversary for us. 60 years since we came together as partners in this diplomatic space with America.
Very well.
Yeah.
Do you then take concern with the pomp, color, and display of opulence attached to the president's state visit to the US, despite our existing challenges, even financially as a country?
Well, I think he could have been cautious a bit, given the fact that he has been saying, let us cut our cloth according to our size. Number two, he has made it clear that these are times that we need to tighten our belts for purposes of being frugal in expenditure and also being prudent in the management of public resources. I'm made to understand it costs slightly more than 200 million Kenya shillings. Apart from, of course, the accommodation and other exigencies that do arise out of such a visit. So in a way, it worries me. And he had a number of options. You see President Moi, President Kenyatta, Kenyatta too, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, and President Kibaki. While Moi traveled and Uhuru also traveled extensively, Kibaki hardly traveled out of the country. But on the few occasions that he traveled, I remember he would take the normal flight, but of course they arranged space for him on a normal commercial flight. If he's going to Ethiopia or he's going to Bangkok, and Kenya Airways would be going in that direction, they would create space for him. However big the delegation is, there will be a bit of accommodation knowing that this is a presidential visit, and give him the necessary protocol and the necessary comfort. That would have been done. Possibly the president would have taken Kenya Airways flight from here to New York, and from there he can make local arrangement. Or he could have also taken like some of the flights from here to America, but have a special booking for him because he knew the date and he knew the kind of delegation he has. Because I'm sure even there are people who travel in advance, perhaps 1 week in advance, because really, you know, diplomacy is some kind of some quiet espionage, which is allowed. So you have to go in advance, understand the terrain, reconnaissance, understand the issues that are relevant, because each country and each meeting has different situations that are required. So that by the time the president arrives, he's already fully briefed on the things that he needs to deal with, on the things that he needs to avoid. So 200 million just to take that flight was a bit on the higher side. He could have taken a local Kenya KQ is comfortable, and we are very good pilots. And I don't remember President Moi ever, or even President Uhuru Kenyatta ever, or even President Kibaki ever taking such a commercial kind of charter. But perhaps you never know. Possibly he's a shareholder in those companies.
I see.
Yes, he could be a shareholder, and possibly they gave him concessionary rates. But if you are to check the rates that we've been informed by those in the aviation industry, this was a very expensive trip. So, and I'm happy some people have been doing a bit of caricature, showing that now from hustler to a jet, which means the story that perhaps the president gave us in the run-up to the election is a different story that is now living through. Yeah.
Very well. And President Ruto's U.S. state visit is sort of historic because he's the first African leader in 15 years to be invited by the U.S. for a state visit.
Yeah.
But you are also on record cautioning Kenya that if we are not careful, we could be bowing to Western powers. Do you think that this current state visit by Ruto to USA could have a correlation of that there could be something at stake for Kenya, much as it's historic?
Well, apart from the history that goes with it, usually, and this is the way I've understood, because in diplomacy, the first point of call is that what is in it for my country. That's the basic. You know, you can have so many things to color, but from the origin of diplomacy, that is 1648 is when the nations were formed in Europe after the Westphalian Treaty, and which agreed, I think, about 13 nations at that particular time, that decided now, instead of fighting, let us carve out our sphere of influence, and with the basic principle, and those principles are still obtaining up to now. The first principle was, thou shalt not interfere in the internal affairs of each entity. The second one was, whenever there is an external threat against one of us, we shall have collective security measure to ward off the enemy. And the third one is that we shall have some kind of communication through an individual, so that the misunderstanding that has hitherto made us fight for over 30 years is going to be removed. Those were the basic principles. And they started by somebody would look for somebody to send from here to Uganda, go take the message, then bring back the message. And in most cases, somebody could go there, and they are told the king or the whatever, the leader of the country may be in northern Uganda. So, and he's going to Entebbe or Kampala, whichever is the case. So he has to wait. As he waits, with possibly the message from the head, the leader of his country, he will be doing some kind of reconnaissance to check what is happening, to get some stories. So you can see there was a bit of spying. Then later on they realized that this is a bit murky. The best thing is, let us have somebody permanently staying here. And that is how the word ambassador came, because ambassador is actually a messenger to the next country. And when they are passing those things that credentials, the letter is that as you talk to Richard, you are talking to me.
Yeah.
And the space that the ambassador occupies belongs to that country. You can see like Ethiopian embassy here in Kenya is next to State House, very prime area. Our embassy in Ethiopia is also in a very prime area because the two presidents, the president and the emperor agreed. They had been together in London as very good friends. And these are facts that it is good to present to Kenyans. So they chose the best places for those countries. For Ethiopia, we gave them that place. Ethiopians gave us a very special place. And they said the two countries shall never fight in their lifetime. And there was some kind of dispute over resources. What was it? It is water. We used to cross to Ethiopia. Kenyans used to go to Ethiopia to have water. So they agreed that that parcel of land before the water is going to be Kenyan land. I think they moved about 6 kilometers. So some of the people, like the late Bonaya Kodana, his home was in Ethiopia, could have been an Ethiopian. But that understanding between the emperor and Mzee Kenyatta made it possible that we entered Ethiopia about 6 kilometers. I'm not sure of the distance, but we entered so that the river becomes now the permanent border,
boundary.
So that there are no skirmishes over water, you entering Ethiopia, you entering Kenya, and so forth and so forth. These are some of the historical facts. So where were we? We were talking about
whether we could be bound to Western powers.
Yes, but now my main worry, and this is my genuine worry, anytime you realize Americans are praising you, they are using you. Because when they embrace you, it is what is in it for us. You remember President Ruto was struggling as he was taking the flight. There was another planned flight for our boys and girls to go to Haiti. I don't know whether they have arrived. And they know Haiti is not a good place. There is a fellow called Barbecue who will literally barbecue you. In fact, they just don't kill. They kill and they roast you like a piece of meat. And they eat. So it's a situation that is dangerous. But I don't know. I don't know what is in it for us. That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Or what is in it for the President Ruto? Possibly there is something in it for him, but not for Kenya.
But looking at his history this far as president, we've seen him go big on foreign trips, arguing that he's going to negotiate trade deals for Kenya. This far, are you confident that we've seen more inflows to the country than outflows from president's foreign trips?
No, there is a bit of there is a bit of almost interfering with the normal protocol. Some of the discussions can be held at the level of ministers, and perfectly well, because if you realize, in most cases, it is the ministers who sign. The president and the presidents will be talking, but the people will be signing. The understanding that they have arrived at is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the other country, whatever the designation is. But the president usually is some kind of ceremonial presence. And that can be done nowadays with this technology that you people have introduced. You can have a conversation with President Biden, and then the ministers can go. And you see when the minister goes, that delegation is scaled down and it's cheaper and more effective. But of course, as you know, our brother prefers to be in front of everything because he's a micromanager.
The face of it all.
Yes, and he doesn't believe in the capacity of others. Because in proper leadership, the most effective way is to multiply your effort through the capacity of others.
To amplify it through the capacity of others.
Yes.
Very well, and now shifting gears to local politics, the recent sort of bromance, or rather good relationship, even politically, between Azimio leader Raila Odinga and the President Ruto is somewhat causing unease among followers of Raila Odinga, his organic followers. And his recent development being flagging off President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And there are those supporters of Azimio leader Raila Odinga who feel betrayed by that move, and they are imploring Raila Odinga to exercise emotional intelligence whenever he's making his political moves. Do you find that there's an iota of truth from that concern from Azimio supporters?
Well, I would only be concerned with the extent that Raila perhaps was trying to still improve his leverage on the state visit of President Yoweri Museveni. But at times, it is good not to overstay your invitation. It's good to be careful because the person you are dealing is a serious political animal that can tell you we are running in this direction. And when you look back, he has disappeared in the opposite direction. Because I'm yet to believe that President Ruto is a gentleman whose signature makes any sense politically or even diplomatically. I'm worried that he can abandon Raila at the hour of need. Who has he not abandoned?
At the 11th hour, he could do that, Raila Odinga?
He could do that. He has done it before. He did for us when we formed the UDM. He moved away from the team, and he used to structure UDM office, official things in my office when I was Assistant Minister of Agriculture. Then I was subsequently sacked on the 27th of May, 1998. Upon being sacked, good enough, William Ruto was made Assistant Minister, which I was, but in another ministry office of the President. Fast forward, some of the people who were close to the President had their Waterloo in the hands of William Ruto because he was creating that space for himself. He was made minister. We won the election as NAC. They lost. And for a period, we thought things had gone the right way so that we shared different political divide without necessarily having any conflict. Fast forward, the referendum came. And he joined the team from ODM later, that was LDP, to sabotage the component of NRK that I was part of. And my good friends, the former Minister Murungaru, former Minister Kraitu, and a few guys from the central Kenya used to have meetings calling themselves Kikuyu Mafia, and the other ones called Rift Valley Mafia. And they told me that confidentially we've been told not to invite you to that meeting because the Rift Valley Mafia, comprising William Ruto, people like the Honorable Sirma, and a few other young fellows. I told them, if you are dealing with Nicholas Biwott, Henry Koskei, John Koech, John Sambu, I would actually believe now you are talking to genuine people who will give you the right answer. Subsequently, we went for referendum, and they'd taken the Raila group, and they were fighting now the Kikuyu group that I was part of, the Gema group that I was part of. That was the second betrayal. I'm just giving you the history.
Yeah, chronology of events.
Yeah, then subsequent to that, ODM almost forms the government, and he does about turn against President Moi. They had a meeting in Eldama Ravine, and they disowned President Moi. And they moved in and formed ODM with Raila and the group. They lose the 2007 elections, and between then, they moved into the Grand Coalition, forcing Raila to appoint him a minister and the others. And in the intervening period, he quickly changed places, joined the Uhuru camp within the Grand Coalition. And he started sabotaging Raila, that the 4,000 Kalenjin boys had disappeared, and Raila should give us where they are. The rest is history. He betrayed Uhuru. He has betrayed Rigathi. Whether Rigathi wants it or to believe it or not, we are actually at the watershed of the politics of Rift Valley and the mountain.
The writing is on the wall.
The writing is clearly on the wall. Whoever does not see is either blind
or living in denial, maybe.
You're living in denial, because at times you can see something and you don't believe. Yeah, you even lose your sight. Yeah.
I'm then curious to ask you, would you then advise Azimio leader Raila Odinga, much as he's trying to solidify his African Union Commission chairperson bid, that there's need for him to engage President Ruto at arm's length?
That's the point. That's the point. And somebody, I think, gave you or gave us one time that fire is nice, but don't get too close. No, don't stay too far. You stay far, you will feel cold. Get too close, you will burn. And therefore, that's how to deal with the president. Yeah. But he's still my friend.
He's still your friend.
Yeah.
Well, of course, now moving on swiftly to other subjects in our conversation of today, we have seen this revelation from the office of the fourth president of Kenya, that is His Excellency, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, in which it brings forth damning reports of their budgetary allocation to his office being held back by the government of the day. And we thought that this onslaught against President Uhuru had gone into the thin air. But we are seeing a resurgence of the same. Why is it still happening at a time when President Ruto said he had extended an olive branch to President Uhuru so that they amend their ways for the betterment of Kenyans? Why are we seeing this trait of people going after President Uhuru to this day?
It's the same betrayal. You remember when he was sworn in, he said that he will not allow his deputy to be treated the way he was treated, which was unwarranted anyway. When they're international visitors, you don't embarrass your host by saying such things, because that was a day that should have been solemn. We talk all the things about how we want to deal with issues, but we avoid our own dirty linen. As they say in English, don't wash your dirty linen in public. He washed that, but now what is happening to Rigathi is clearly the opposite of what he told us. And you see, Richard, we make mistakes as Kenyans. We should have been able to interrogate what happened between President Uhuru and his deputy. You know, the genesis of that would have assisted us now to be able to draw who is wrong. It was Uhuru, Ruto, altercations. Now it is Ruto, Rigathi, altercations. The common denominator is Ruto. So it cannot be that Uhuru was wrong and Rigathi is wrong. There must be something also about the common denominator. So I think, but on a substantial issue of the allowances and the benefits to the former president, it should be known that this is a constitutional matter. And whenever budgetary provisions are done, what forms the first charge is allowances and benefits for retirees, or that is pension, plus constitutional offices, plus foreign debt, or debt in general. That is the way, that is the protocol. So if, let's say, President Uhuru has any problem with the state or within a state apparatus, they should deal with him separately. But his benefits in terms of pension, it is unconstitutional, and also it is the height of bad manners. Because if we deal with each other like this, we are creating tension in the country where it should not be. Because remember, President Uhuru won 2 elections. Yes, they were working with the President Ruto to win the 2 elections, but there was a component that believed in Uhuru. There was a component that believed in Ruto. And therefore, it was a combination of the two and other factors, including the issue of the Hague in their first term. And perhaps in their second term, they said, okay, we can as well complete the journey because we've started together. But it doesn't mean it is always a perfect relationship between the president and deputy. But leadership demands that you must manage some of those nuances that arise out of working together with an individual that you've not known each other. Even people who have known each other, they usually say in my language that before you go to your in-laws with a friend, make sure you have a drink so that you see the full character of your friend. Because some of the friends, when they go to the in-laws, they might handle the mother-in-law in a very inappropriate way. So, so I think possibly Rigathi should have drunk with William before settling that they are going to work together. But I don't know, I've told you before, I don't know whether Rigathi, because I think that's the popular name, remembers that when the president was picking him, he made it as running mate. He made it clear that he's going to retire with him, perhaps 2032. So possibly he's preparing for retirement, 2032.
That journey has already started.
Possibly the journey has started. I don't know whether he remembers, because I was seated there. I was seated there, and I remember those words were said.
Very well.
Yeah.
So now that we are seeing an ongoing onslaught against the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and also now his office, constitutional office, what does this portend for William Ruto in the fullness of time? We are still seeing him trying to penetrate Mount Kenya block, which we credit his presidency to, because they hugely voted for him.
Yeah,
In 2027, could things now play against him if he continues with this trend of going after the former president Uhuru Kenyatta? And more importantly, after a section of Kikuyu leaders declared Uhuru Kenyatta as their kingpin in the recent concluded Limuru 3.
Well, I think the president must be getting better intelligence than me. But the little that I get is that the mountain is shifting. And possibly is worried, and therefore he wants to stock a lot of fire, so that if the mountain will shift, part of it will remain with him. This could be the strategy, because if you check Murang'a, I think he's trying to prop Ndindi Nyoro. Here he's trying to prop Ishungwa in Kiambu. In Kirinyaga, I think he may be trying to prop Governor Waiguru. And in Laikipia, he's trying to prop Kiunjuri, so that there is enough fire. Perhaps they will go to Nuthu, Senator Nuthu in Nyandarua. And in Nakuru, perhaps they will prop Susan Kehika, the governor of Nakuru. And perhaps in Trans Nzoia, they might prop you to make sure that the Kikuyu in Trans Nzoia don't move away from him. So the way I look at it, it is a strategy that is akin to his own way of thinking. That is my worry. And if he's propping them that way, then Rigathi should actually take time to look at what to do. The kind of apology extended to the Kenyatta family, he needs to actualize that in privacy without the knowledge of the public.
Very well.
Yeah, because I think he's a man under siege.
Could you then be pointing to the direction that by strategically positioning the members that you've listed, case in point Susan Kehika and Ndindi Nyoro, that is a strategy to deploy the antics of divide and rule to penetrate Mount Kenya block?
Yeah, he knows the block is moving, but he would want to retain something. Yeah, he does not want to lose the entire block. And he knows Uhuru may not want, given a chance, you can find him at Uhuru's gate. You know, people who don't know President William Ruto, Ruto, once he wants to do business with you, he will leave Sugoi in an unmarked car, come all the way to Moss Bridge and talk to you. If he finds it is in his interest for him to talk to you. For him, he's never ashamed of anything that happened in the past.
At the expense of the interest of his loyalists or friends around him who helped him this far?
For him, first his survival. Second, the rest of you will follow. That is the way it is. And if given a chance, and if he realizes the only person who can give him a second term in presidency is President Uhuru Kenyatta, nothing will stop him from driving to his gate and almost bending in front of the gate. And you know, if the president was to kneel in front of the gate, you'll give in. Yeah, so he can do that. So don't be surprised. Even from America, even this issue about him and Rigathi, he might come and say at the airport, you know, people are saying 1, 2, 3. I don't have a problem with my deputy. And Rigathi now will see as if he has gotten an olive branch. Is it an oily branch?
Not olive branch.
Not olive branch, an oily branch. That if you are not careful, it will slip through your hands again and you'll fall into the deep sea. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That point by former Minister Kipruto Arap Kiro takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, dissecting on a plethora of issues in the world of politics and governance, starting from the president's most recent state visit to the United States of America and what Kenyans should expect out of it. And we've also crossed over and discussed the new relationship between Azimio leader Raila Odinga and the president of the day, and whether Azimio supporters need to be worried about that. And we've winded up the conversation talking matters to do with 2027 politics and what that portends for William Ruto, looking at how he's navigating his political strategies this far. We wait to see you on our next edition. It is always a pleasure to have you on board. Kipruto Arap Kirwa, sharp as always,
Yes.
and always punctual for the show. We have to credit you for that.
Thank you. I learned that from President Moi.
Oh.
If there's something that President Moi said is going to be at Kablamai, a 9:45, he will arrive either at 1 minute later or 1 minute earlier, and the vehicles will be there. If it is announced, he was punctual. You going to Barnett Gardens, where I used to live, if it is 5 o'clock, you will see him descending from upstairs, because I think his bedroom was upstairs. As you get in, he's descending, fully dressed, of course in a tie, and he will serve you tea.
And perhaps maybe start with a prayer.
Yes, he will pray.
And end with a prayer.
Yeah, no, for him, he will start with a prayer, but he had time to listen. You know, he had a human face. You know, I'm not saying it because of any advantage I will get, but these are facts. President Moi, anytime you are under trouble, because for me I was a bit cheeky, I was under trouble many times. So at times I appear before him, and he tells me, why are you saying this? And I would explain to him, then he says, but you have to be careful. Don't sing their song, but listen, but be careful. Remember, you are in Kano. Yeah. Of course, I was in Kano for 15 years with him. 3 elections. And any time there was an election, of course, this may be a side issue. He managed the elections personally. He calls you to Nakuru. He gives you what is required, posters, and anything else associated with the campaign. Yeah, that I'm nostalgic about that kind of leadership. He might have had other challenges, the way we all have challenges. But President Moi, in my opinion, was a father figure. When you say the father of the nation, indeed he was.
You hold him in high regard to this date?
Oh yeah, up to now. I wish I could behave like him. Yeah.
Some people have been asking me to ask Kirwa, where did Gideon Moi go to? Many think that he is your close friend.
Gideon is my friend, but I think we are cut from different skins. Gideon is a child of the royalty. To use the term William has used, I'm a hustler. Yeah.
Son of a cassava farmer in Kaplamai.
In Kaplamai, yes. A small-scale farmer. Yeah.
Not the billionaire that some believe you are out here.
Oh, I wish I was. I would make everybody happy.
Including yours truly here.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Until next time on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, it's always a distinct privilege to have you on board. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.